Everything seems peaceful, but don't let it fool you. This is Stan Lee warning you as Spidey and the mysterious Hiawatha Smith to beware of the dangerous Red Skull.
You have arrived just in time to witness history.
Welcome everyone to Four Guys in a Comic. This is Red Skull, and today I'd like to bring you a special review of Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 27, as well as a full 6-issue series of Battle Scars. Why, you may say? Well, I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've been asked, or I have heard people ask the same two questions about Nick Fury. One, why does he have an eye patch? And two, how do we go from a white Nick Fury to a black Nick Fury? Well, today we'll dive straight into these questions. Now, Sergeant Fury appeared in May 1963 in Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos issue number 1, written by Stan Lee and penciled by Jack Kirby. But the origin of how he lost his eye first appeared in Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos issue number 27 from February of 1966. And the issue was primarily written to answer the questions submitted by readers at the time of why in Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos he doesn't have an eye patch, but the issues of Nick Fury, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time showed him with one. The story opens with the Nazis having developed a strange new weapon for shooting down alloyed bombers. This, instead of a gun, it's a deadly infallible beam of light. Basically, a laser from today. The Howler's mission is to destroy the fatal beam at all costs. As the Howlers parachute into enemy lines, they are spotted by a Nazi patrol and is eventually captured and forced to reveal the location of Nazi weapon of light. Dum-Dum succeeds in blowing it up, and with his bazooka. But in the heat of the moment, they forget that the Nazi patrol leader, Otto, whom, in a desperate attempt to atone for his mistake of betraying his country, grabs a grenade to throw at that group of the Howlers. As it flies in the air towards our heroes, Sergeant Fury grabs it out of the air and throws it back to Otto. But it was too slow, probably because of his monologue, because if you read these older Marvel issues, we all know there's lots of monologue going on. And it explodes too close to him, damaging his eye with shrapnel. Dino, he jumps in action and bandages up Nick Fury, and Nick finally makes it back to the base after a side adventure of capturing the Nazi scientist as the sole person with the secret of the Nazi weapon of light. Now, after being admitted into the infirmary, the doctor finally comes out saying that Nick will live, but will one day eventually lose his eye. He goes on to say that he needed crucial emergency surgery. If it had not been performed, the eye might have been perfect again. But Nick declined the surgery because it would have kept him out of action for a year, and he felt that the Howling Commandos needed him. The doctor goes on to explain that his eye will heal, but one day he will lose his vision. It might happen next week, next year, or in 20 years. No one can say. And so, Nick Fury does return to duty as a rough, tough, and ornery as ever, but it's not until 1963 that the doctor's prediction came true, and which is why he wears an eye patch today. Now that you know how Sergeant Fury lost his eye, let's look into our other Nick Fury and why he has an eye patch, his origins, and what makes him so special. Even in Deadpool comics the question comes up, and writers like to make fun of that question as well. Battlescar Shadowed Heroes is a 6-issue limited run from 2012 with the writers Colin Bunn, Matt Fraction, and Christopher Yost. Issue 1 from January 2012 opens up with Staff Sergeant Marcus Allen, the 2nd Battalion Army Ranger in Afghanistan, with his best friend Anderson, but mostly known as Cheese. He finds out in a message his mother is dead, his mother being Nia Marie Johnson. He attends a funeral, then decides to visit his mother's home, only to find it under police guard since it was recently vandalized in a riot. While walking in the house, he finds a gun casing and realizes something is wrong, and goes outside, only to be fired upon by a sniper attack, then attacked by 3 Russian mercenaries, then finally attacked by none other than the Taskmaster. As the Taskmaster is about to kill him, he is saved by none other than Captain America. Issue 2 opens with where one left off, with Captain America and the Taskmaster fighting. During the fight, he is evacuated by Daisy Johnson, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and placed into a protective custody by S.H.I.E.L.D., explaining that his mother must have seen or learned something that she shouldn't, and this is why she was murdered. He is told he will be given a new identity, and the whole works, a new life, everything. And we see that Dum-Dum in the background has been following Marcus's life and career with admiration and respect. But in fear, Marcus escapes S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters and makes his way into Atlantic City. After fighting off more S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, Marcus meets up with his pal Cheese in a hotel to figure out and by starting his own investigation and tracking down the Taskmaster. Funny side note, Marcus tells Cheese he met Captain America, and Cheese gets all excited and asks if he was able to get him an autograph. Issue 3 starts off while looking for answers for all of Marcus's questions. Him and Cheese start to shake people down. In the process, he discovers that there is a bounty on his head, and every merc in town not only knows this, but is after him for the reward. And as Mercs goes, none other than our own favorite merc with a mouth shows up to kill Marcus. That's right, Deadpool. In a heated battle, Deadpool was just about to take Marcus when Taskmaster shows up and stops Deadpool. And of course, just as the Taskmaster is about to kill Marcus, Cheese shoots the Taskmaster, helping Marcus make his escape. Not before the Taskmaster tells him that he was hired by his father's greatest enemy. Of course, Marcus replies that his father is dead, but the Taskmaster simply says, "I don't think your father can die." Then suddenly, the issue ends with Marcus, Deadpool, and Taskmaster surrounded by supervillains. So then we go into issue 4. It starts off strong with Marcus battling the supervillains in a hopeless attempt till Deadpool steps in to help, so he can get Marcus for himself. In the confusion, Marcus slips out, taking Taskmaster with him for the questioning as Taskmaster is about to speak. A costume character steps into the room to get Marcus. And, of course, just as he is about to do his thing, S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up and Cheese rescues Marcus, and they head back to the hotel, only to have Marcus knock out Cheese so he can protect him and go out looking for answers on his own. Doing so, he finds that costume man and demands answers. The man removes his mask and says, "How about this? My name is Fury, kid, and so is yours." Well, issue 5 opens up 30 years earlier in Czechoslovakia with CIA agents fighting Hydra henchmen in a secret base. Turns out that the two CIA agents are Nia Jones and Nick Fury, and they aren't only agents, but lovers. 9 months after that Czech mission, Marcus was born, and to keep Nia and Marcus safe, it was best for Nia to quit the CIA and be a school teacher, never telling anyone that Nick was the father, in fear of his enemies that would use that information against him and hurt Nia and Marcus in the process. Nick also explains that his greatest enemy is Orion, aka Viktor Uvarov, leader of Leviathan, an old Russian terror cell. But Orion is now dying and needs either Nick Fury or Marcus's blood, since within them, of their DNA, is the Infinity Formula. Now, as we know, Nick Fury Sr. Takes the Infinity Formula by injections, where Marcus had been inherited through his DNA. Now, during all of this monologue going on with Orion's henchmen, gas and capture them both, bringing them to Orion. Orion, in a wheelchair, looks at them and says, "Marcus Johnson, the son of Nick Fury." I don't see the resemblance. So henchman then goes up to Marcus and scrapes out Marcus's eye with his fingers. Then Orion replies, "Ah, yes, now I see the resemblance." In a grand attempt to escape, Marcus gets away, but Fury is taken prisoner and has his blood cleaned out of the Infinity Serum and placed into Orion, who is now younger and healthy again. So issue 6, in our last issue of the series, Nick Fury is being tortured and mind-probed by a telepath, getting all of his secrets out. Marcus rushes in to stop Orion in a suicide attempt by blowing up the whole building, but of course the Avengers with S.H.I.E.L.D. show up just in time to save them, but not before Marcus blows up Orion. The issue then cuts into Marcus and Nick in the infirmary on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Fury is visiting Marcus, and Fury talks about his other son, Mikhail, and how he is dead, and this is why he left Marcus and his mother alone, to protect them, because if his enemies knew who his siblings were, they would be after them to hurt Fury. Unfortunately, Marcus gets it and respects it, to a degree. Nick Fury gives Marcus a choice.
get fixed up and go on with your life. Or get a new one. Take the chances that no one else can get. Or, just basically do what you want to do. Because he was a Ranger too. And this was the last they met. After that, we see that the Infinity Formula healed up Marx's wounds, but didn't replace his eye. Finally, Nick dresses up in the suit given to him as a gift from Captain America, and decides to go by his rightful birth name, Nick Fury. With Cheese by his side, Cheese decided he's going to change his name too, and he decides to go by Agent Phil Coulson, which, as you may or may not know, this being the first appearance of both Nick Fury Jr. and Phil Coulson. Finally, we have a second Nick Fury and why he has an eye patch, like Dad, and why him and Agent Coulson are so close. It's also worth noting that Marvel intentionally made the comic character Nick Fury Jr. to look similar to Samuel L. Jackson. I guess this made it helpful so if they ever made a movie that they could get Sam Jackson to play the character. Alright, I would like to thank everybody for listening to our review this week of Sergeant Fury and His Howling Commandos number 27, as well as Battlescar Shadowed Heroes issues 1 through 6. And now that we've uncovered all of the mysteries surrounding Nick Fury and his eye patch, as well as his son, Nick Fury Jr., there's still one question about Nick Fury Sr. that remains. What did he say to Thor to make him unworthy to wield the hammer? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments in regards to it. Please go ahead and post them down below in our comments section, and we can go ahead and get a discussion started on that. Be sure to also check out our podcast on iTunes, and if you do not have iTunes, Podcast Addict on Android lets you add iTunes podcasts. We also have our Twitter page, which we give daily factoids. We do around 3 to 5 a day. For an example, did you know that in the 1990s, Michael Jackson tried to buy the Marvel company? Why? So he can star and produce as Spider-Man in his own movie. Join us on Twitter to find out interesting facts like these. Join us on Tumblr, where you can post questions and get feedback in regards to comic-related questions, as well as being able to view our sponsors. And if you care to make a donation through PayPal and help support our podcast, we'd gladly appreciate it. Finally, Facebook. Be sure to check us out on Facebook daily as we post daily reviews of comics and shout-outs to our 4 Guys in the Comic listeners' birthdays. This is Red Skull, and I'd like to thank you again for tuning in to our review today. And just to remember to make every day a Hydra Day.
Hail Hydra.